Hello, this is Dante's Inferno, Canto 6. I'll read through the Longfellow translation and then we'll do some spontaneous reflections. At the return of consciousness that closed before the pity of those two relations, which utterly with sadness had confused me, new torments I behold, and new tormented around me, whichsoever way I move, and whichsoever way I turn and gaze. In the third circle am I of the rain eternal, maledite and cold and heavy, its law and quality are never new. Huge hail and water sombre-hued, and snow, athwart the tenebrous air pour down amain. Noisome the earth is that receiveth this. Cerberus, monster cruel and uncouth, with his 3 gullets like a dog, is barking over the people that are there submerged. Red eyes he has, and unctuous beard and black, and belly large, and armed with claws his hands. He rends the spirits, flays and quarters them. Howl the rain maketh them like unto dogs. One side they make a shelter for the other, oft turn themselves the wretched reprobates. When Cerberus perceived us, the great worm, his mouths he opened, and displayed his tusks. Not a limb had he that was motionless. And my conductor, with his spans extended, took of the earth, and with his fists well filled, he threw it into those rapacious gullets. Such as that dog is, who by barking craves, and quiet grows, soon as his food he gnaws, for to devour it he but thinks and struggles. The like became those muzzles, filth begrimed, of Cerberus the demon, who so thunders over the souls that they would fain be deaf. We passed across the shadows which subdues the heavy rainstorm, and we placed our feet upon their vanity that person seems. They all were lying prone upon the earth, excepting one, who sat upright as soon as he beheld us passing on before him. O thou that art conducted through this hell, he said to me, recall me, if thou canst. Thyself wast made before I was unmade. And I to him, the anguish which thou hast, perhaps doth draw thee out of my remembrance, so that it seems not I have ever seen thee. But tell me who thou art, that in so doleful a place art put, and in such punishment, if some are greater, none is so displeasing. And he to me, thy city, which is full of envy, so that now the sack runs over, held me within it the life serene. You citizens were wont to call me Kiako, for the pernicious sin of gluttony, I, as thou seest, am battered by this rain. And I, sad soul, am not the only one, for all these suffer the like penalty for the like sin. And no word more spake he. I answered him, Kiako, thy wretchedness weighs on me, so that it to weep invites me. But tell me, if thou knowest, to what shall come the citizens of the divided city? If any there be just, and the occasion, tell me why so much discord has assailed it. And he to me, they after long contention will come to bloodshed, and the rustic party will drive the other out with much offence. Then afterwards behoves it this one fall within 3 suns, and rise again the other by force of him who now is on the coast. High will it hold its forehead a long while, keeping the other under heavy burdens, howe'er it weeps thereat and is indignant. The just are two, and are not understood there. Envy and arrogance and avarice are the 3 sparks that have all hearts enkindled. Here ended he his tearful utterance. And I to him, I wish thee still to teach me, and make a gift to me of further speech. Farinata and Tegiaho, once so worthy, Jacopo Rusticucci, Arago, and Mosca, and others who on good deeds set their thoughts. Say where they are, and cause that I may know them. For great desire constraineth me to learn if heaven doth sweeten them, or hell and venom. And he, they are among the blacker souls. A different sin downweighs them to the bottom. If thou so far descendest, thou canst see them. But when thou art again in the sweet world, I pray thee, to the mind of others bring me. No more I tell thee, and no more I answer. Then his straightforward eyes he turned askance, eyed me a little, and then bowed his head. He fell therewith, prone, like the other blind. And the guide said to me, He wakes no more this side the sound of the angelic trumpet. When shall approach the hostile potentate, each one shall find again his dismal tomb, shall reassume his flesh and his own figure, shall hear what through eternity re-echoes. So we passed onward o'er the filthy mixture of shadows and of rain with footsteps slow, touching a little on the future life. Wherefore I said, Master, these torments here, will they increase after the mighty sentence, or lesser be, or will they be as burning? And he to me, Return unto thy science, which wills that as the thing more perfect is, the more it feels of pleasure and of pain. Albeit that this people maledite to true perfection never can attain, hereafter more than now they look to be. Round in a circle by that road we went, speaking much more, which I do not repeat. We came unto the point where the descent is. There we found Plutus, the great enemy. Okay, so we are now in the third circle. I miscounted before. Limbo counts as 1. The lustful counts as circle 2. And now we are in circle 3, where the gluttonous are punished. Oddly enough, gluttony is not commented on very much in this canto. For the most part, it's talking about politics, in fact. But even so, we can figure out a little bit of what kind of contrapasso Dante is trying to show us here. Number 1, Cerberus, who has 3 mouths that are always hungry, is, the one who's overseeing all the torture. Makes sense, 3 mouths is a good way to symbolize overbearing appetite, for sure. These souls are also constantly battered by heavy rain and hail and snow that comes from the sky into the muck, the dirt, the mud where they're lying. I can only really speculate as to what is meant to be symbolized by that. Only it reminds me of one who perhaps, is really thirsty, but then is given the ocean to drink, The fact that the rain and the snow and the sleet never stops. It's always coming. It's always pounding them down. There's no end to it. The earth is soggy from too much of it. That's as much as I can read into that. Dante, anyways, he runs into the first soul who he actually knew in life, Chiaco, who was a contemporary of his from Florence and was part of the ongoing political struggles that were going on there at the time. He calls out to Dante, and Dante speaks to him a little bit, and Chiaco gives a prophecy of what's going to happen. I put that in quotes because at the time that the comedy was written, it had already happened, but at the time that the comedy takes place, it had yet to happen. Remember, Dante's 35 in the comedy, but he's much older by the time he publishes the comedy. Chiaco's political prophecy basically talks about how the Guelph and the Ghibelline parties in Florence will be fighting each other, and how infighting amongst the Guelph party ends in Dante's exile. This discourse reveals to us that in Dante, these souls, these shades in hell, while they're in hell, they do not know what is going on earth at the present, but they know the future and they know the past. But then when he finishes speaking to Dante, Virgil himself speaks up and says, this one's never going to wake up or speak again until basically Judgment Day, the second coming. And Dante is confused. He asks, are they going to suffer worse after the Day of Judgment, or the same, or what? And Virgil says something which in the Longfellow translation is remember your science, but in Mark Musa it's remember your philosophy. And that's probably more close to what you would understand. So I'll rephrase it. Remember your philosophy, he says. The closer a thing comes to its perfection, more keen will be its pleasure or its pain. And how can you say that a soul is perfect in hell? Well, because after the resurrection of the body that happens at the second coming and the last judgment, the souls in hell will receive their bodies back. And then their entire selves will be in hell, body and soul. Just as in the Catholic faith, it's believed that at the resurrection of the body, at the second coming and the last judgment, the souls in heaven will also be reunited with their bodies, because humans are not spiritual beings, they are composite, body and soul together, both at the same time. And so for those in heaven, their rejoicing and their joy in heaven will be even more complete, whereas for the souls in hell, it will be even more perfectly terrible. Chiaco also tells Dante that other souls who he knew in life that were part of his politics, part of the political situation, are also in hell, but they're found much further down. These are some of Dante's friends. These are some of the people he knew in life. So he's definitely not taking it easy on them just because they're his friends. He's trying to be hard, very harsh on sin, and trying to display the truth of each of these sins with a relevant example that the people of the time would have known. That's it for today. We'll move on to Canto 7 tomorrow.